My beloved child, pause in this very moment and listen with your whole soul. For what I am about to speak is not meant to soothe you, but to awaken you. This is not merely a message. It is the meeting point between the years of sorrow you have endured and the glorious season I have appointed for you. You did not arrive here by accident. You were led here along a path only heaven could have arranged. What you have called failure, what you have labeled a fall, what you have assumed was an ending, I call all of it by another name, the foundation upon which I am placing the crown on your head. Just as the one thrown into the pit long ago became the one who stood closest to the throne, I am leading you through the same kind of path, not to diminish you, but to make you complete, not to break you, but to cause you to stand tall. There were seasons when you felt pushed to the margins, rejected by those to whom you had given your all, overlooked in places you once served faithfully. And in those moments you asked, "Why must I go through this?" But child, those chosen to stand at the gate of glory must always walk the road of rejection first, not because they are unworthy, but because their presence was never meant to be confined to small spaces. Just as the one who was sent before was not received by the world, the roots of glory are always planted in the soil of rejection. I do not allow anyone to steal your value. I simply allow the places that do not belong to your future to release you, so you do not waste your life on what is smaller than the glory you were born to carry. I know the falls that fractured your soul. I know the financial losses that made your breath uneven. I know the nights you prayed while counting what little remained in your hands, so small it was enough for only one more day. But remember the widow with her tiny jar of oil, or the shepherd holding nothing but a bare staff. I have never needed much to begin something great. It is often lack that becomes the most fertile soil for miracles. I do not see your constraints as shame. I see them as the starting point where my power is revealed. When you think you have lost everything, I see you light enough for me to lift. When you think you have nothing left to give, I see you empty enough for me to pour in. There were seasons when you stood in the midst of life yet felt invisible. Your efforts received no recognition. Your heart was not understood. Your voice was drowned beneath the voices of others. But do not confuse the silence of people with the watchfulness of heaven. What people fail to see, I see more clearly than anyone. What people overlook, I record in detail. I see the work you do when no one knows. I see the faithfulness you hold when no one rewards you. I see the sacrifices you make while others assume they are ordinary. And I will not allow a single seed you have sown to fall to the ground without bearing fruit in your life. Seasons of protection and restoration do not arrive randomly. They arrive after the seasons in which you believed you had been forgotten. I need you to understand this deeply. The very things that wounded you yesterday are the same things I am using to give you authority today. No one carries a true crown unless they have known the ache of abandonment. No one stands in high places unless they have knelt in hidden ones. No one steps into promotion before heaven unless they have stood alone in nights without a hand on their shoulder. I do not promote you based on what you have. I promote you based on what you have endured. And you have endured far more than you realize. In this recent season, I have also seen how you endured words that pierced your heart like unseen thorns. You were misunderstood. You were blamed. You were accused of things you did not do. I saw your tears fall silently because you dared not cry out loud. I saw your heart tighten at unfair words. But remember this: before I lift someone publicly, I first allow them to walk through a season of private criticism, not to hurt them more, but to free them from the need for human praise. A crown can rest only on the head of one whose heart is no longer defined by the voices of people. You may think your breaking is proof that you are lesser, but I speak this with the authority of heaven. These very fractures are the places where I am laying the foundation of your coming protection. The one who has fallen deep enough will not be easily toppled by the winds of life. The one who has lost enough will no longer cling to what does not hold value. The one who has been excluded long enough will no longer beg for a seat at tables that were never meant for them. And because you have gone through all these things, I can now bring you into the place where I write your name upon the door. I also know the financial wounds that make you afraid of making another mistake, the failed investments, the decisions made out of trust given too freely, the opportunities that looked like gold but turned out to be traps. I do not see these as failures. I see them as lessons, so you will never build glory upon sand. I allowed lack to teach you discernment. I allowed loss to teach you what to keep. I allowed empty hands so you would learn to receive only what is true. From this point forward, you will no longer open the door to what does not belong to heaven. Your eyes have changed. The rhythm of your heart has changed. You will recognize the opportunities I send, and you will know how to refuse the doors that are not yours. And then, my child, you will understand why I call your journey from wounds to crown. A wound does not make you smaller, it makes you real. Being excluded does not make you lose value, it pulls you out of the wrong places. Financial blockage does not make you poor, it makes you perceptive. Everything you once thought was a stumbling stone is being turned by me into a staircase. And you will step upon each of those steps not by striving, but by surrender. Prepare your heart, for the season of protection is coming. The season of restoration is near. And the season of promotion will open suddenly like dawn breaking after a night thick with darkness. No one can pull dawn back, neither can anyone stop what I have written for you. I must say something you have avoided for too long. Not every pain in your life comes from the world. Many things come from you, accepting far less than what I intended for you. You held on to relationships that had already died because you feared emptiness. You clung to opportunities that had already decayed because you feared starting over. You kept the judgments that crushed your honor because you assumed they were true measures of your worth. I must speak firmly. It is this compromise that opened the door to the depletion, the stagnation, and the captivity you are living in. I do not blame you. I am exposing the nature of what has bound you. Without recognition, you will never be truly freed. And I want you freer than you even desire for yourself. The truth is, this many times you fell into traps because you tried to make people see your worth instead of letting me reveal it. You opened your heart in places that were not safe enough, and those places took advantage of your goodness. You let the fear of loss make you give away what should have been preserved for the season I appointed. You surrendered your peace just so others could feel comfortable. But my child, I did not call you to become a doormat. I called you to be a keeper of oil, one who knows what belongs to heaven and what must be released. It is this lack of discernment that made you more wounded than necessary. I do not want you repeating that in this new season. Now I must be stern so that you awaken anything that drains your soul, pulls you off the path I set, or makes you forget your true identity. None of it comes from me. You have tried to fix what I already closed. You knocked on doors from which I had already removed your name. You begged for acceptance from people. I never chose to walk with you. You called it affection. I call it chains. You called it sacrifice. I call it lost authority. You called it loyalty. I call it misplaced dependence. You cannot carry a crown while still holding the things that strip away your dignity. There are also places in your mind where I must expose the true light. Doubting yourself is not a personality trait, it is a wound. The fear of failure is not wisdom, it is a wound. Your hesitation to step into opportunities does not come from lack of skill, it comes from the memory of being turned away. I will not allow these wounds to hide under a smile. I bring them to the surface so you can see clearly, and so I can set you free. You cannot live the life you are called to if inside you still believe you are unworthy. A hidden wound is a poisoned wound. A wound brought into my light becomes a testimony of restoration. I also want you to become aware of the financial loop you have been stuck in. It is not because you lack ability, but because you have allowed scarcity to define you. You spend like someone who fears tomorrow. You work like someone afraid of being replaced. You give like someone trying to buy acceptance. You hold back like someone afraid they will never be replenished. But I speak plainly, every form of financial depletion in your life begins with depletion in your sense of worth. When you think you are undeserving, you open the door to loss. When you think you are small, you attract small opportunities. When you live below the standard heaven set, your life naturally bends toward lack. I must say this so you understand financial blockage is only a symptom. The true cause lies in identity. Now I step into the part of liberation. I am breaking the power of every word that has ever suffocated you. The words that made you afraid to dream. The criticisms that made you fear standing up. The judgments that made you shrink your own light. I will not let them follow you into your new season. You do not belong to that captivity. You were not created to live in emotional debt. You were not born to be the ground others walk on. I free you from the need to be validated by human eyes. I free you from the burden of proving yourself. I free you from the inner voice that once said, "You will never be chosen." I am also freeing you from the invisible financial restraints. Not every form of lack in your life came from mistakes. Some forms came from spiritual theft. There were seasons when you were reduced not because you spent wrongly, but because the enemy knew you were about to be increased. Some losses happened because they did not belong to the system of blessing I intended to give you. I will not let you live under the curse of lack. I am preparing to place you in a realm of blessing where you do not have to strive for what is yours. But before I increase you, I must free your mind from old patterns because those patterns would destroy what I am about to establish. Liberation is not an instant feeling of lightness. Liberation is the opening of eyes. When you see what does not belong to you, you will stop embracing it. When you recognize what is weighing your soul down, you will stop calling it normal. When you understand what is draining your strength, you will no longer allow it to continue. And the moment your eyes open, the power of chains breaks. No one can bind a person who sees the chains clearly. And I declare to you today you are seeing clearly. You were called to carry a crown, not a wound. You were chosen to bear authority, not burdens. You were destined to carry blessing, not fear. And now, the only thing you must do is release whatever no longer carries the breath of heaven. I speak firmly because you are closer to the season of restoration than you realize. I expose what is hidden because you cannot take these shadows into your season of promotion. I set you free because you were destined to rise before people and before heaven. In the midst of everything I have unveiled, I want your heart to be lifted, not weighed down. My purpose has never been to make you ashamed of what you have walked through, but to help you see clearly why I do not want you to live a single additional day under those old bindings. I do not merely show you the truth, I pull you out and set you on a new ground. There is light there, and peace, and a gentle breath you have been missing for years. I know you once believed you had no radiant future, but now I affirm this: you will live in the season of restoration that I, myself, have established. Not restoration measured by what you lost being returned equally, but restoration in multiplied portions, the kind reserved for the chosen, the kind reserved for those who went through fire without losing their heart. The wounds you once thought would follow you for a lifetime are merely the soil where I plant new things. I do not see those places as weakness. I see them as open doors. As deep as you open your heart, that deep I will pour my blessing. There are things I will give you not because you were strong, but because you did not abandon me when you were hurting. I saw the way you stayed faithful in silence. I saw the way you chose not to speak ill of anyone, even when you were wounded. I saw the way you continued to be kind when you received the opposite. That is why I promise you this: what people failed to see, I will reward openly. You will walk through doors that even those who once doubted you will witness me opening before your steps. And I want you to know this deep within you, you are not walking into your protected season alone. I go before you to block hidden schemes. I walk beside you to keep your heart from trembling. I go behind you to close every wrong door you may accidentally leave open. Every path you once feared will now become straight, not because you have become stronger, but because I am making you strong. When you feel tired, I lift you. When you feel lost, I guide you. When you feel slow, I push you forward. Not a single step of yours will fall into darkness again. You are being surrounded by my keeping in a way that will surprise even you. You once believed you had lost time, lost opportunities, lost relationships, lost finances, but I speak to you now, nothing in my hands has truly been lost. The season you called loss is the very season I have chosen to prepare restoration. I am gathering everything that was stolen from you, and even the things you dropped on your own because you lacked clarity. And I am not only gathering them, I am multiplying them. You will see financial restoration in a way that makes you certain it was never by your strength. You will see relational restoration through the ones I send, people who honor your true worth, who see you as I see you. You will see spiritual restoration as your discernment sharpens, like someone who has lived long in the light. I also want you to look at yourself with the gentle eyes I am placing within you. You are not ruined. You are not flawed beyond repair. You are not a failure. You are the one being forged, refined, reshaped to carry something great. I never abandon a forged person halfway. I never leave them lost in the ashes. I stand beside them until the new form emerges. And the new form of you is closer than you think. You believed you were weak, but I see the hidden strength you have not yet recognized. You believed you were worn, but I see the potential preparing to break forth. You believed you had to strain to survive, but I am preparing you to walk with the ease of someone fully covered. And there is one thing I want to promise you clearly. Your season of promotion is not far ahead, it is moving toward you even now. You do not have to chase it, it will find you right on time. Every effort you sowed in secret will bloom in the open. Every tear you cried at night will become seeds of joy returned in the day. You will find yourself standing in places you once believed you would never reach. But I have always known this, you will enter those places not through human doors, but through heaven's door. And when I open a door, no one can close it. I want you to believe in the future I have written for you, not the future your circumstances are trying to paint. Circumstances can shift with the seasons, but my word does not bend. You are rising from the valley to the summit, not because you meet the standards of people, but because you have walked through the fire with honesty. I never abandon the one who trusts me in the furnace. I do not waste the pain of the one I love. I do not allow your wounds to become meaningless. I use all of it to build a bridge that leads you into a radiant place where one day you will say, "If only I had known sooner how much the Father had prepared." And above all, I want you to rest in this truth. Everything drawing near to you is good. Not luck. Not coincidence. Not something you forced, something I ordained. I am your Father. I am the one who restores. I am the one who promotes. And I am the one who places the crown on the head of the one who once carried wounds like yours. I am breathing a new life into your soul, not the life of someone trying to stand back up, but the life of someone about to be lifted. This lifting does not depend on feelings. It depends on the authority I have placed upon you. I touch the deepest places within you and gather the scattered fragments you once thought worthless. Those very fragments will become the material I use to forge you into a person of depth, resilience, and authority someone darkness cannot touch. Not everyone is invited into this kind of healing. It is reserved for those I love and prepare for higher places. You are among them. In the moments when you think you have nothing left, I am pouring into you an oil not of this earth. This oil does not come to make you emotional for a moment. It comes to seep into the most stubborn parts of your soul. When my oil covers you, Old wounds lose their power to cling. They leave you gently yet decisively. Like a wind, sweeping away the last ashes after a fire. The healing I am doing does not only erase the pain, it erases the image you once carried of yourself. You will no longer live as the wounded. You will live as the liberated. I am leading you into a place where courage awakens in a new form. Not reckless courage, but calm courage, the kind that rises from a soul that knows heaven stands behind it. One who knows the Father stands with them, does not fear the opinions of others. They do not fear failure. They do not fear abandonment. They do not fear losing opportunities. They do not fear change. They walk with steps that feel light, yet carry the weight of someone deeply rooted in truth. I am driving your roots deeper than before, so that the winds that once shook you can no longer move you as they did in past seasons. In this new journey, I am not only healing your emotions, I am correcting your vision. You will see clearly the true intentions of others. The doors I open and the doors I close. The difference between opportunity and trap. This discernment is part of the crown I place on your head, a crown not for decoration, but for governance. Those who wear heaven's crown do not live in confusion or fear. They live with clarity that comes from light. This clarity will not exhaust you. It will strengthen you. I am also giving you back the voice that the years once silenced. Your voice is not returning so you may resist others, but so you may stand with truth. The truth you speak from now on will carry a different weight, not because you speak loudly, but because it comes from a place I have healed. A person who speaks from wounds creates more wounds. A person who speaks from glory creates transformation. You will see your words pull others out of despair, calm broken hearts, and illuminate long darkened spaces. I place power into your voice just as I placed power into the shepherd's sling long ago, small in the eyes of many, but mighty in my hands. I am also giving you a boldness you once thought you could never possess. Not the boldness of someone trying to prove themselves, but of someone who knows they are upheld. This boldness will lead you into places you once believed far beyond your reach. You will walk into rooms you never dared to imagine. You will be called by name in places where others assumed no one noticed your presence. I will lift you in front of those who once looked down on you, not for revenge, but to prove that no one can diminish whom I have chosen. And this lifting will unfold naturally, without force and without haste. In this new season, you will see that my healing always comes with expansion. Not only the expansion of ability, but of heart, endurance, and capacity to receive blessing. One who still carries wounds cannot bear a crown. Only the healed can hold it. I am clearing room for glory to come by removing fear, removing inferiority, removing self-condemnation, removing the voices that taught your soul to bow low. All of these must leave so the crown may rest without obstruction. I want you to know this deeply. I place the crown on your head not to exalt you, but to protect you. The crown I give is not merely a reward, it is a barrier. It is a sign to darkness that this soul belongs to heaven and may not be touched. It is a declaration that you have been paid for by everything you have walked through. It is the symbol of the journey I have led you through from wounds to healing. And from this moment on, any attack meant to diminish you must pass through me first. I give you a blessing greater than all others, the peace of someone whose true name has been called. This peace is not fragile. It does not come from money, praise, or position. It comes from knowing where you belong, who holds your life, and who has seen the entire journey and still chooses you. With that peace, you will walk through every door that is about to open, not with anxiety, but with the quiet majesty of one who carries a crown. There are moments when I see your soul slowing down, not because it is weary, but because it is trying to recognize the change unfolding too quickly within. What you are experiencing is not mere comfort, it is a spiritual reversal of positions. What once stood above fear insecurity, anxious imagining is being pulled down, and what was once suppressed strength, dignity, and royal identity is rising to the surface of your inner life. This reversal does not roar, it occurs quietly, like the sound of wind brushing through a forest at daybreak. Yet, even in its quiet unfolding, it is powerful enough to reshape the way you perceive yourself. I have waited a long time to bring you to this moment, the moment in which you no longer view yourself through your wounds but through my light. I know there were seasons when you believed that hurt had ruined you completely, moments of rejection, doors that refused to open, words that tightened your chest, and falls that stung your heart. You carried those fragments for so long that you began to mistake them for identity. But I speak with absolute gentleness. What breaks in my hands never becomes waste. It becomes the foundation for something more beautiful. I do not reshape merely to patch. I reshape to redefine. Those I love most are often the ones I allow to walk through the hardest seasons. Because only souls that have traveled deep into pain become wide enough to carry true glory. From the first day I saw you cry in secret, I never saw weakness. I saw the softness necessary for my work. Hearts that are sealed are difficult to heal. Hearts that are tender can be transformed. You chose tenderness not toward the world, but toward me, and that choice opened the door for the season of restoration now approaching. Not everyone dares to be vulnerable before me, but you did. And I remember, I have not forgotten the moments you sat alone, speaking to me with the hoarse voice of a torn soul, saying, "Father, I do not know what to do anymore. I have not forgotten." And I answer by preparing a future far greater than anything you have allowed yourself to imagine. Now I want to reveal something deeper. A crown is never placed on the head of someone who has never learned to bow. Your bowing was not humiliation. It was the posture that allowed me to lift you. When you collapsed from hurt, you did not see that it was the moment I drew closest. When you fell under the weight of failure, you did not recognize that it was the perfect place for my hand to rest upon your shoulder. When you were near the end of your hope, that was the very moment I said, "Now I can begin." A crown is never set upon the proud. It rests on those who have allowed me to touch the deepest part of who they are. Along this journey, I have brought you face to face with emotions you once buried, not to make you ache again, but to cut away their power. The fear of abandonment, the fear of inadequacy, the fear of never being chosen, the fear of having to carry everything alone, and the fear of failing one more time. These fears do not disappear by themselves. They lose their position when you step into my light. When I illuminate them, they can no longer hide beneath the strong reasoning you used to build around yourself. But once they appear before me, they lose the authority to judge you. From that moment on, you begin to live not by reaction but by recognition. The transformation I am doing also touches the way you view your finances. You once thought every financial loss was a sign of carelessness or lack of discipline. But I want you to hear this with your whole soul. What you lost does not define you. It instructs you. You lost because you trusted the wrong people. You lost because you moved too quickly when I wanted you to move slowly. You lost because you were deceived by the images others presented. You lost because you had not yet identified all the traps. But none of those things can stop my blessing. I do not punish you for inexperience. I teach you so that the blessing I give next will not fall into the wrong hands. Financial loss is not a sign that I abandoned you. It is a sign that I am cutting you away from paths that were never meant for you. When I see you blame yourself, I feel compassion. I see the way you think. If I were better, I would not have lost. But I speak firmly, sometimes loss is the only way for me to pull you away from something that does not belong to your future. If you had held on to those things any longer, they would have become chains. If you kept chasing the wrong opportunities, you would miss the right doors. If you continued investing in connections that were never from me, they would suffocate your soul. I cut not to hurt you, but to protect what I am preparing to place in your hands. And what I am about to place is far greater than what you have lost. One of the deepest parts of the crown season is the way I am changing the voice inside you. You no longer speak to yourself in the language of wounds, but in the language of truth. No more I am not enough, but I am being prepared. No more I will be abandoned again, but I am held by my Father. No more I will fail again, but my Father is leading me to the right place. A crowned soul does not speak from doubt, they speak from identity. I am teaching you to lift your voice from identity, not from emotion. As the voice within changes, your outward posture changes too. I see how you stand taller in conversations, how you no longer seek value from others, how you no longer shrink yourself to fit within someone's small expectations, and how you step away from tables that do not belong to heaven. This is not the change that comes from striving. This is the change that comes from awakening. Those who carry a crown do not beg to be accepted. They choose where they belong. You no longer live to fit, you live to align. I also see the shift in your eyes. No longer the eyes of someone carrying a heavy past, nor the eyes of someone afraid of being wrong, nor the eyes of someone dependent on the opinions of others. You are beginning to see with the light I placed within you the light of someone whose dignity has been restored, the light of someone who no longer needs to prove anything, the light of someone who knows their Father stands behind all things. That light makes darkness approach you differently. What once crushed you now simply makes you pause to discern, and this peace, this deep, steady peace is the clearest sign of the enthronement unfolding within your spiritual life. My child, I also want you to recognize a gentle truth. The crown I place on you will never distance you from people. It brings you closer to me. Those who carry true glory are never proud. They are tender. They are not loud. They are deep. They do not stand above others. They stand above who they used to be. The promotion I prepare for you will not pull you away from others. It will draw you closer to the love you once feared to give. Every crown I place is sealed with kindness, not ambition. I see the layers of transformation unfolding in your spirit, like a dawn that never arrives, with a sudden burst of light, but with thin streaks of brightness stretching across the sky. That light announces that darkness has already lost, even while it clings desperately to the last sliver of night. You are standing in that exact moment, the moment when the old still flickers behind you. Yet a new glory is beginning to seep into every breath. I do not require the process to be fast, I only require it to be right. And what I am doing in your life is so right, so precise, that no force can reverse it. I also see the parts of your soul that, in the past, could be triggered instantly by a single wrong word. Yet now they remain still, not because you have numbed yourself, but because your emotions have been healed. Your endurance now is not the endurance that trembles in fear, but the endurance that breathes in peace. A soul once wounded may shake easily, but a soul healed by its Father will not be moved, no matter how strong the winds may be. This peace is not something you created. It is the gift I gave after you allowed me to touch your deepest layers. And I rejoice to see you beginning to live from this new inner place. In this expansion, I see something even more beautiful. The things that once made you feel threatened have become the very places where you now recognize strength rising within you. When someone rejects you, you no longer think you are unworthy. You simply recognize that the door does not belong to you. When an opportunity slips from your hands, you no longer think you are lacking. You simply know that I am leading you elsewhere. When others step back, you no longer awaken old fears. You step forward, knowing I am standing there. This awareness does not come from new experiences. It comes from a new soul. And this new soul is the authority I am giving you to carry for life. Now I want to open another depth of the restoration I promised you. Restoration is not only the returning, it is the repositioning. It is setting your thoughts right, setting your self-perception right, setting your value back into the place where time and people once made you doubt. And when value is set right, the entire life turns in the right direction. A person restored to their rightful place within their own heart will no longer choose small things. They will not allow anyone but me to define their life. They will not walk into narrow paths to prove anything great. And when posture is corrected, blessing is no longer difficult to enter. Blessing always finds its way to the one who knows where they belong. I also see the shift in your financial mindset, growing little by little. It is no longer the mindset of fearing lack, but the mindset of one who knows they are provided for. It is no longer the mindset of, will I have enough, but where is my Father leading me? It is no longer a mindset that chases money, but one where provision follows faithfulness. The crown bearer is not the wealthiest person, it is the one who is not bound by anything on earth. When the soul is freed from inner scarcity, the hands are freed from outer scarcity. And this is what I am doing, gently but firmly, neither slow nor ever late. There is another change I am bringing. I am repairing the way you receive love. In the past, you loved with fear of losing. You gave with fear of running out. You opened your heart while quietly bracing for pain. But now, through the healing I am working, your love no longer trembles. You will love without fear. You will give without depletion. You will open your heart without feeling exposed. Love will no longer be a battlefield. It will become the soil where your new identity grows. I am teaching you to love as one who carries value, not as one begging for it. And when you love in this freedom, every relationship I send to you becomes a source of blessing rather than a burden. I also want you to understand that promotion before people is never the final goal. It is only the result of promotion before heaven. I elevate you in the secret place long before I elevate you in the open. When your heart changes, I open doors. When your mind is renewed, I clear paths. When your dignity is rebuilt, I lift you up, not so you may stand above others, but so you may stand in the place that is truly yours. Your crown is always placed within before it is ever seen without. For this reason, you do not need to strive or demand. What belongs to you will find you in its appointed time. Soon you will see that the things I am preparing will come at a much faster rhythm than anything you have known. Not because life becomes easier, but because you have become different. A transformed person does not need to transform their circumstances. Circumstances transform around them. Inner peace causes the right doors to open quickly. Inner light gives darkness no space to interfere. Inner awakening guides your decisions in the right direction without struggle. I do not need you to run. I need you to stand right. Stand in your identity. Stand in your dignity. Stand in the truth. Stand in the position I have appointed for you. And now I want to say something that will steady your heart even more. No one can ruin what I am building within you. People may misunderstand you. They may underestimate you. They may say you are not enough. But none of their words have authority over what I decree. A crown is not bestowed by a crowd. It is bestowed by the Father. When I choose, no one can remove. When I lift, no one can pull back. When I open, no one can shut. The only thing I need from you is this: do not align yourself with voices that speak beneath my intentions for you. In the days as you step into this new chapter, I know there will still be moments when the old tries to rise again. Old thoughts, old reactions, old fears. But remember this: the appearance of the old does not mean you have not changed. It means you are being strengthened. A young tree trembles when the wind comes, yet it is still alive. So are you. Each time you choose to stand in the light instead of fear, I strengthen your roots. And the deeper the roots, the steadier the crown. And then a day will come, a day very near, when you look back on the journey from wounds to crown and say, Everything that happened led me here. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was excessive. Nothing was out of rhythm. Everything was used by me to place you exactly where you belong. And when that moment comes, you will realize that what you thought was an ending was only the beginning. I want to lift your soul into a higher place. A place where everything you have walked through suddenly becomes clear in a way you could not have imagined in the years before. When I allowed the wound, I had already seen the day you would stand on the very ground that once broke you. When I removed the wrong relationships from your life, I had already seen the day the right connections would come and lift you up. When I let the old opportunities collapse, I had already seen the day you would stand in a new place where no doubt could make you tremble again. Everything I do carries a greater purpose to pull you out of an old throne so I can place you upon a new one. I want you to recognize that the transition you are in is not a small shift. It is the kind of transition that the old version of you cannot contain. The old ways of thinking cannot sustain, and the old fears can no longer inhabit. When I elevate a person's life, I elevate their soul as well, so they will not break under the weight of the blessing they receive. And that is why I allowed you to walk through long years that seemed unmoving, not because I was distant, but because I was deepening your roots. Only those with deep roots can hold a high crown. Only those with a steady soul can stand beneath great light. There were things you asked for that I did not answer immediately, not because they were not good, but because I wanted you strong enough to keep them. Those who run into blessing without roots will lose the blessing, but those who are refined in the fire will step into blessing with a straight spine, clear eyes, and an awareness of what they carry. All the silent months I gave you were not neglect, they were preparation. No one is promoted in noise. They are promoted in the deep silence known only by me and the one I am preparing. And you will recognize the deepest truth. What I restore most powerfully is not your finances, not your relationships, not your reputation. I restore your image of yourself. When the soul knows its true worth, everything external returns to its rightful place. The one who knows they are loved does not beg for love. The one who knows they have value does not chase acceptance. The one who knows they are chosen does not fear being forgotten. When the inner image is set right, everything else becomes a consequence. When I see you walking slowly in this new light, I smile, because I know the most beautiful part is still ahead. You are stepping into the chapter you prayed for years ago but never believed you could reach. A chapter I wrote with my own hand before you were even born. A chapter where my glory meets your surrender. A chapter where the things that once brought you to tears become the things you thank me for, because they led you to the right place. I never let pain finish the story. I let glory finish it. May the word of the Lord continually remind you to live each day in His faith and His love. Press follow and turn on the notifications so you won't miss the sacred and meaningful messages God desires to speak to you. May God bless you. Amen.